Alright, so this is very obviously not the best filming setup, but as I am in a village under Moscow right now, I do not have my proper filming equipment, so I'm literally sitting in the back garden in my husband's shoes with some string taped to my jeans. This will just have to do for this video and maybe some other videos down the line until I figure out what to do with my filming setup. So today I thought I would show you one of the variations of the watermelon bracelet because it's coming to summertime and I really enjoy this pattern. It's very, very summery and also very easy to make. There's only 2 rows that repeat. So in terms of colors, you've got 3 green colors. You've got one that's the darkest, one that's slightly lighter, and one that's the lightest. Then you have the red and the black. Now there are many variations of which you can do the watermelon pattern. I'm going to link the one that I'm specifically using down in the description. You can make any sort of start and finish that you like, but to keep it simple, I just cut my strings one by one and I just made a knot and I pinned it down on my jeans. This is probably the easiest thing that you can do. I'm then going to untie that knot once I'm finished and make the twisted ties or braided ties or whatever. I have done this bracelet before though, and I have done triangle ends, and I think those look really nice as well. So you're going to cut 2 of the dark green, 2 of the medium green, 2 of the light green, 9 of the red, and 2 of the black. All of these strings are going to be about 1 meter long. The black strings can be shorter than that, 50, 70 centimeters. I'm not entirely sure. I very rarely actually measure my strings, so I'm mostly guessing. Once you've cut your strings and made whatever start you like, and also secured your strings on your workspace, you're going to arrange them in this order. Dark green, medium green, dark green, medium green, 2 light greens, 4 reds, 1 black, 3 reds, 1 black, 2 reds. The pattern itself looks like this. It's very, very short. So I went onto Photoshop and I repeated the pattern a couple times to make it bigger, and I've drawn a diagonal line across, which is what we're going to be following. Hopefully this visual makes it a little bit easier for you guys to understand where the strings are also coming from. The string positions can be seen at all the strings that are sticking out from underneath that diagonal line, and that is how I've arranged my strings here. So we're going to start with the leftmost string, which is this dark green, and we're going to make 4 knots on the next 4 strings. So the first 3 of these we're going to be making forward knots, and on the last we're going to be making a forward backward knot. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have a video going very in depth into all the basic knots and how to make them. I also have a beginner's guide that you can look through and get a bit of more understanding on bracelets in general. This is a pretty simple bracelet, but I wouldn't recommend it to be your first bracelet if you are just getting into them. So I do expect that you know how to make the knots, which is why I won't be explaining them in depth here. 3 forward knots and 1 forward backward knot. In the beginning here, you're going to be very careful and make very loose knots and pay close attention to the string positions. Because the strings aren't really secure yet, they have the tendency to sort of move around. You have to be very careful in paying attention that you are making the knots on the correct strings. And to do that, I pay very close attention to the pattern in the first couple of rows, just to double check myself. Alright, so that bit is done. We've made 3 forward knots and 1 forward backward knot. Now a forward backward knot makes a knot of the string's color, so we've got a dark green knot here, but the string is still on the left, it didn't move to the right. Now we're going to follow up with the next string, which is this light green, which is the one we just made a forward backward knot onto. I'm going to grab this one and make a forward knot onto the next light green string. And then grabbing the next red string, we're going to make a forward backward knot. So again, we're making a knot of this string's color, but all of the strings are staying in the same positions as they were. So next, we're just going to grab this red string and we are just going to do a row of forward knots until the very end. This part is probably the simplest, but again, you have to pay very close attention to all the string positions because this is the first row and all of the strings are sort of prone to being messed up. You have to make sure that you are making the correct knots in the correct order. Alright, so the first row is finished. It really doesn't look like much at the moment. This is kind of the reason why I like to make triangle ends, why I like to make loops, why I like to make sort of organized starts. This is the reason why I don't usually do just like a knot and then start knotting, because when you do that, the first row turns out kind of messed up. As you can see, even me with experience of like 11 years of knotting, the first row is going to look really, really messy. When you do something like triangle ends, it arranges the string in the positions that they need to be, and it creates a much more neater look. look, which is why I prefer to do that. As a beginner, it doesn't really matter. You can start by doing just knots and then creating your bracelet from that. But I'm trying to highlight is the fact that it will look messy regardless of your experience. So don't beat yourself up about that. It's going to even out as the bracelet goes along. And once you really get the hang of making bracelets and are comfortable with them, you can maybe go into making triangle ends or loops or whatever. But once that first row is finished, this is the string position you should have. So middle green, dark green, middle green, dark green, 2 light greens, 3 reds, 1 black, 3 reds, 1 black, 3 reds. And this is the second and last row of the repeating pattern, and this is the part where we're going to be doing the seeds, so the black strings come into play. So we're going to start off the same way we did in the first row. This time it's the middle green and not the dark green that's the first string. We're going to take that same string and we're going to do 3 forward knots on the next strings and 1 forward backward knot on the 4th one. Then taking the same string that we just did the forward backward knot on, which is this light green, we're going to do 1 forward knot onto the next light green string and 1 forward backward knot onto the next red string. Now grabbing the same red string we just did a forward backward knot on, we're going to do 2 forward knots on the next 2 red strings. Alright, now this is the part where the seeds come into play. So we see the next string is the black string, and this is the red string that we just did the forward knots with. We take this black string and we do a backward forward knot onto this red string, creating that watermelon seed. We then take the next string, which is this red string, and we do a backward knot onto this black string. And then with the same black string, we grab the next red string and we do a forward backward knot onto that, creating another watermelon seed. And then holding onto that red string we just did a knot onto, we grab the next one, we do a knot between them, just a forward knot. And we encounter the next black string. This time we do a backward forward knot onto this red string with the black string, creating the 3rd watermelon seed. We then grab the next red string and do a backward knot onto this black string. Grabbing the next red string, we do a forward backward knot with the black onto the red, creating the 4th and last watermelon seed in this row. And the last knot that we do is between the 2 remaining red strings, and I'm just going to do a forward knot. And that's it. That's all that you have to do to create this pattern, these 2 repeating rows. Now again, it really doesn't look like much. It's really all bunched up there with that knot. So it's going to look really messy. But as I said, once you continue and you make your bracelet more, it will even out as you go along. Alright, so I've sort of finished the bracelet. I would normally make it a little bit longer, but I'm running out of string and I don't have anything to replace it with, so I'm just going to finish off here. And I've untied the top knot to make ties, and as you can see the bracelet sort of did flatten out a little bit, and it is flat at the bottom as well. So I'm just going to make ties now and show you the finished product. I also have a little kitty here enjoying the breeze. And there you go, the bracelet is now complete. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I want to give a special shout out to my patrons, and especially my top supporters who are Miller, Zoe, Simon, Hannah, Christelle, Izzy M, Jocelyn, Izzy B, Misty, Sydney, Izzy D, Laura, Anna, Gretchen, Tia, and Sam. Thank you guys very much for your support, and if you also want to become a patron, there is a link in the description where you can sign up and get exclusive perks for your donations. I send packages to my top tier patrons, and currently we're also running a Patreon-specific competition, which you can join now. We're doing it in rounds, and currently it is round 1. But either way, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!